Hey guys, what's going on? Bama Guitar Dude here, and wanted to talk today. This is a bit of a ramble, so bear with me. But I wanted to talk to mostly the new turkey hunters today about something that I am calling field grade calling. Okay, so what do I mean by field grade calling? What I'm talking about is not competition calling to turkeys, but what I call field grade calling. Um, Phil Robertson of Duck Dynasty fame caught quite a bit of criticism when he first started coming out with his duck calls because they didn't sound as pure and pristine as some of the calls that were on the market at the time. And his response was, well, my calls are basically field grade calls. They're imitating what me and my boys are hearing when we go duck hunting. And, they actually spent quite a bit of time and energy filming themselves hunting with their calls to prove that their calls actually worked in the field. And thus was born, their line of duck calls that became very successful, are very successful. Whether or not you like the Duck Dynasty show, okay, their hunting videos, if you ever seen them, are incredible. I mean, these guys are slaying these birds. And Jace is one hell of a shot. Not only with a shotgun duck hunting, but also they came out with some deer hunting videos, and the dude is killer with a rifle. But the point that I'm trying to make here is I meet a lot of turkey hunters, and it can even be experienced turkey hunters who are very, very insecure about their turkey calling, to the point where they won't even call in front of me or in front of other people. And I really think that that's a shame, okay? It might surprise some of you to know that some of the most effective turkey hunters that I know are not very good callers. Okay. Now, on the other hand, some of the best callers that I know are some of the best turkey hunters. So what gives? What's the deal? Well, the deal is that if you're a really good caller and you have really good woodsmanship, you're going to kill turkeys. If you're an average and mediocre caller, okay, but you have confidence in your calling and you're a great woodsman, you're going to kill turkeys too, okay? I would say that the top calls that you really need to get down are probably those quiet calls. I've got a video where I demonstrate soft yelps and tree yelps, and I'm telling you what, that is a killer call in the woods, okay? Very soft. Yelping is probably one of my number one go-to calls in the woods, especially if I've got a gobbler that's gobbling and I'm fairly close to him. This past Saturday, that's exactly how I killed that bird. Just countless hunts that I can think of where I've gotten on gobbling birds. All I've really had to give them is a few little yelps very softly, and lo and behold, here they are in front of my gun and I get them killed. Okay? Now, having said that, I do feel that it's very important to dedicate yourself to improving your calling as good as you can get it. Okay? This is why you'll often hear me say, buy a box call, because a box call is so easy to run, so easy to learn, and if you get a good one, it sounds just like a turkey, okay? So if you're not proficient yet with your mouth call, don't give up on your mouth call, okay? Because you are going to need it. You're going to need it when you get into close range of a turkey. You're going to need it in the rain. Now, are there pot calls that are waterproof? Yes. I gave a review of the Tony Reynolds infusion call. I used it in the rain the other day. Thought it actually sounded better in the rain and wet, if you can believe that. So, are there other turkey calls that you can use to hunt with and be effective? Absolutely. My brother, for the longest time, that's pretty much all he hunted with was a slate, and he slayed them. I mean, he is a turkey killing machine, and but I would say, to compare his calling with some of the best callers that I know, his calling is nowhere near as good, but he's an excellent, excellent woodsman. In fact, most of my woodsmanship I learned from my older brother, Brian. He taught me how to really, really ease and slip around the woods super quiet and get set up on turkeys, in a killing position and get the job done. Now, I've gone beyond him in terms of my calling, and a lot of times now when we hunt together, I'll be the one doing the calling because my calling has really improved because I've spent more time with it, especially on a mouth call. But, I would just like to encourage you to don't give up on your calling. Don't get down on your calling. A lot of guys that I hear on their mouth calls, they're very hoarse and they're overly raspy. So, and coming from a music background, I'm able to hear these things that I guess other people can't hear. So, you got to get to the point in turkey hunting where you're confident enough with your calling to hit the woods with confidence and get it done, okay? And don't worry so much about your calling, but worry more about scouting, setting up, slipping around your land, knowing your land like the back of your hand. Like Saturday, when that gobbler gobbled that second time, I pretty much knew exactly where he was. And you will learn these things over time, like, typical places where turkeys like to roost, along big creeks and stuff. Big tall trees along creeks are awesome turkey roost sites. Here on my land, they actually like to roost just off of these ridges that are on some of my property. There's a corner in one of my pastures that's wooded with a bunch of hardwoods, and it's a rise. I call it the knoll. And by golly, if the dadgum gobblers don't like to roost there, because it's hard to get to quietly, so nothing can slip up on them and they can see a long ways. It's one thing about roosting gobblers and turkeys in general, hens as well, they like to see. Okay, a turkey is a sight and sound animal, and you've got to defeat the sight and the sound. And part of defeating the sound is working on your calling to get it realistic enough to fool that gobbler into thinking that it's a real hen in the woods. Okay, and I get asked about decoys a lot, and anymore I'm just like a hen decoy type guy. I've just found that my birds are lovers, not fighters. A lot of times I put out a Jake decoy and they just don't want to attack it. Like the videos that we all see on the internet. And I see here in Alabama, I see people throwing out strutters and these birds are just tearing them a new one. And I don't know. I don't know what it is about my birds that they like to love and they don't like to fight. So I give them what they want. I give them the soft calling stuff with a hen decoy, an old Feather Flex 20-year-old hen decoy, foamy, that everybody dogs and thinks is a piece of crap. It killed that bird Saturday. Okay? So I'm proof positive that you don't have to spend a ton on decoys to get it done. Now, am I saying go out and buy a Feather Flex hen decoy? Do what you want. If having a realistic looking hen decoy and Jake decoy and fully fanned out, floats your boat, give it a whirl, man. I mean, you have to try things on your land, on your birds, to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Okay, that's the bottom line. I can go 5 miles up the road and throw out a strutter Jake with a hen, and that gobbler on that land may rip it a new one. I don't know habitat is like up there. I don't know if there's a lot of, fighting amongst the gobblers. I don't know. It's part of the challenge of turkey hunting is you've got to hunt your birds and you got to try things out sometimes. And failure is an option, okay? Let that sink in for just a moment. Failure is an option. Failure is a great teacher, okay? And so is experience. And, this past weekend I went hunting with a new turkey hunter. And because I've hunted for a while, I can see things like areas and spots in the woods that just scream perfect turkey, strut zone or kill zone or whatever, Many, many times what I will do if nothing's happening is I will go to an area either in a pasture or in my woods where there's a lot of hen sign, like scratching and the ground's all torn up and poops everywhere and feathers on the ground, where it looks like hens have been in there feeding around and stuff like that. Those are spots that I like to go to. And repeatedly, year over year, I will go to these spots and set up and throw out my little hen decoy and do these little soft calls, maybe some loud, calling every now and then when my box call or my slate. And lo and behold, next thing you know, here comes some turkeys into that spot, and it may not always be gobblers, but turkeys are responding to what I'm doing in that spot, and that's not a bad thing. You've got to be patient with turkey hunting, okay? Sorry about moving the camera around, but you've got to be a very patient person if you want to have success turkey hunting. You've got to get your calling where it's good enough, okay? Watch videos, download MP3s of hens, man. Inundate yourself with hen talk all the time, 24/7. If you're driving into work by yourself, put a hen MP3 on repeat, have that mouth call in your mouth, and run the tar out of that thing till you break that mouth call. Buy another one, do it again. Just keep imitating and mimicking what you're hearing, on that MP3 or whatever that's got that hen talk on it, yelping and purring and whatever, and get really good at the big calls, the calls that I posted 3 or 4 years ago on my website: purring, putting, clucking, cutting and cackling, yelping. Get those calls down and get them down to where you're not thinking about your calling anymore, okay? That's when you really you get to the next level with your turkey hunting, where you're not worried and thinking about your calling all the time. You're more worried about what's going on in the woods and analyzing and adapting to changes during the season and, figuring out travel routes of your turkeys and this, that, and the other, okay? This is a long video, okay? But, if you'll follow this advice, I think you'll find that you'll start to have a lot more success turkey hunting, okay? I'm not going to upload this in HD because it'll take forever, so I'm going to just upload this in regular standard video format. I'm apologizing up front that it's grainy, but it's the information and the content that matters, okay? And I hope this helps you this season and future seasons to come. All right? Take care, everybody.